Alright, yo, what's up guys? It's me, Shadow, back again with another tutorial video. This week we're going to be going over how to make beats for ZELLY OCHO and BEAR1BOSS. I don't know if you say BEAR1BOSS's name as that, or if you just say BEAR1BOSS or whatever, but regardless, we'll be going over how to make beats related to both of those artists. I know they can kind of go both in their independent ways and, do their own things and have their own styles, but, they've collabed on a couple songs before. I feel like they are sort of in a similar lane, so I figured I might as well combine both of those into one tutorial. Being that they make multiple styles, if you guys like this video and you want to make me, and you want me to make a part 2 covering like this sort of like darker, harder style of beats in this genre, you can do that. I will check your comments out. I might make a part 2. Pretty cool. Now I'm going to start the video. Actually, I lied. One more thing before we start the video. It's really not that relevant. I just think it's pretty cool. I do have a ZELLY OCHO placement. It's not like out yet. It's just a snippet. I will play like, however long of a snippet it is on the screen now.
Let's see who come money to quit. Sacrifice the bitch and I'm finished. Put a gang, gotta give her my kid.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. Not that it's really related, but I mean, I guess just, comment on Zelly's posts, DM him, whatever. Tell him to drop that song produced by Shadow. It was produced by my homie Starboy Rob and T-Dog as well, so shout out to both of them. And yeah, that is, now we're actually starting the video. So the start of this video, BPM, we're going to set the BPM to 140. That is a pretty typical range for these sort of like happier, upbeat kind of beats. Anywhere from like 135 to 145, I feel like is the sweet spot for pretty much any genre. These are the drums that we're going to be using for this beat. Yeah, so, a little bit more than usual. Nothing too crazy, though. Just hi-hat clap, some 808s, and some perks. Like, that's really all you need. This is not going to be anything too crazy, so don't be too intimidated, even though I'm using a lot of sounds. Then, guys, we have our VST, which is going to be Serum. Everyone who watches my channel knows that Serum is my go-to plugin. If you guys don't have Serum, do not worry. You can use pretty much any plugin for these, and if you specifically want a free alternative for Serum, just go get Vital. I'm not joking. It is a completely free alternative, and it is, like, borderline the same. It will work for these beats and just, like, any other kind of beats that would need Serum normally. Within Serum, we are going to be using my Vanquish Serum Bank and my Rager Serum Bank. I will leave those linked down below. I have paid versions as well as free demos for people to try out. The first preset we're using is the Nintendo synth. Pretty cool. It has like a lot of movement. Then we are using the Water Lead. We are using the Xylo Orchestra preset. Pretty cool. Most Serum banks don't really have like, actual instrument sounds in them. So if you're interested in that, I got you, I guess. The Angel Sign Lead. And lastly, we have the Walked chord. And yeah, those are all these sounds out of the way. Like I said, guys, I know these are a lot of presets. It might seem a little bit intimidating, but I'm going to walk you guys through all of this step by step. It's really not as intimidating as it seems. And yeah, without further ado, let's just hop right into how I made this beat, starting off with the melodies. So first off, guys, we're going to lay these chords out. Nothing too crazy. Huge shout out to my boy 406 Ahmad. I actually used one of his midis for this project because honestly, I was feeling like super beat blocked. I actually ended up making this beat like 3 different times with different midis and my own midis and all that stuff, and it just really was not working out. So I just used some homies midis and it sounded like this. And that's it. Like I said, not too complicated so far. A lot of this beat is just going to be layering sounds on top of each other and stuff like that. And essentially, guys, what we're doing here is we're primarily just using spaces of 6. The difference between the C#5 and the F#4 is a gap of 6, or also 7 semitones apart if you want to look at it that way. Same thing here, E5, A4, D4. All of these notes have spaces of 6 between them, or 7 semitones. I know this really doesn't sound like that sensible to someone who may understand music theory, but to all my fans who don't understand music theory, that is primarily what you want to be doing for these beats, is using chords with spaces of 6. Basically, that's going to give it that sort of like very emotional, just sits very well in the beat, that tone that it creates. And basically from there, you just want to lay out like a simple chord progression that follows the root notes that sound like this. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's primarily just this F sharp to A to D, and other than that, we're adding like some little counter melody leads on top with the G5 and the A. But yeah, I mean, I'm not going to talk too much about this because hopefully you guys can understand what we're going for. Basically, you want to utilize primarily just gaps of 6, 7 semitones apart with your notes, create those sort of like emotional chords, and then like I said, follow that kind of simple bass line that I showed you. Then guys, we're going to take the chords that we have and layer them with the xylo pluck. It's going to sound like this. Pretty cool. I don't have to talk too much about this because it is just the same thing that we had already. We're just going to raise it up 1 octave, and then we are also going to click Alt-S to strum it a bit. Basically, just Alt-S, Strumizer, mess with the time, and it will sort of strum your notes like it does in this chord progression. As for mixing, we are going to make it stereo, and we're also going to open a shaper box with the panning preset within the shaper box. We're going to change the length to a half beat. And that's really it. That's what's making it pan from left to right. And you guys don't need shaper box. Cable Guys has a VST called Pancake, which basically does the same thing. Then guys, we're going to add this little super simple pluck on top of the chords that we made that sounds like this. Essentially what we got going on here is just like a little vibey, bouncy pluck. This is technically a lead sound, but I'm sort of playing it as a pluck. As you can see, this part of the pattern just goes down very incrementally, and then in the second half, we're going to kind of purposely throw things off just a little bit by, removing a couple notes and changing them around. But other than that, really, when you're making counter melodies, just look at the notes that you already have laid out in your original melody and just kind of copy those. G sharp, A, B, C sharp, all those notes were already used in the progression that we just made previously, so I know that these notes work. I'm then going to take the first 2 bars and paste them over, and in the second 2 bars, I'm going to raise it up an octave. I just like doing these in my patterns. It creates like a nice, I don't know, it's just good. I like it, so I do it. But anyways, this is the next pattern. It's going to sound like this. Same thing that we were going for before, just a different kind of counter melody. C sharp, A, E, G sharp. Again, notes that we literally just used in the last pattern, notes that we used in the original chord progression, nothing too crazy. And we are also following the same principle from the... I can't talk right now. We are also following the same principle from the last pattern where we were pasting it over and just raising it up an octave. Remember, I said it sounds good, so that means it is good because I said so. Then guys, I actually forgot to include this, but we're going to layer the original chords a third time. This is the last time, and it's going to sound like this. Pretty weird this time. We are going to make it stereo, lower the volume, and put a default destructor preset on it. That's just going to add a weird filter, and then even more weird filtering, Fruity Love filter. We are going to be using the LP to HP with panning preset. I'm going to be using Fruity Love filter in a lot of my beats in the future. I personally just really enjoy the plugin. I've been using it a lot more recently, and I think it's cool. And then the very last pattern right here, guys, is the final counter lead, which I really enjoy. It's going to sound like this. Primarily, guys, what we're doing is we're just utilizing this B to C sharp, where essentially the C sharp is the primary note, but it's technically a C sharp to a B. But to create that little sliding effect, we're going to take the next note that would work within the chord progression. So, what I like to do is just look at the original chord progression we have, or look at the counter melodies and leads that we have. This is primarily going to be a C sharp. What is the next note below it, which would be a B? From there, we basically create this little looping pattern. From there, I'm actually just going to paste it, and I'm going to lower it down 2 semitones. So basically the following 4 notes are going to be what the basis of the last 4 notes are. Is there probably a word to describe this that would be a lot more effective? Probably, but would I know that word? Nope, definitely not. So yeah, that's the little cool slidey lead, and we are going to do what I've been doing a lot, which is pasting it over and raising it up an octave. Except in this instance, it's alternating between low and high. It's not going to go low, low, high, high. It's going to go low, high, low, high. So yeah, that is the melody all out of the way, guys. All together, it's going to sound like this. yeah, I mean, it's a pretty cool melody. I enjoyed it. I had fun making it, and I think it's pretty good. Pretty solid for the sort of tutorial we're making. Shout out to Ahmad again for the MIDI. And yeah, moving on, we are going to go over the drums. Starting off, super simple clap pattern. Then we are going to add another clap that's going to act as a snare to sort of work with the original clap. We're really not doing anything too crazy here. This is pretty typical to most beats. Then guys, we're going to throw these hi-hats on top. Basically, what I have going on here is a two-step, and that's pretty much it. Obviously, I added some extra notes here and there, but what I primarily did is just made a two-step and then took out a bunch of notes on purpose. Just basically make a hi-hat pattern and take a bunch of notes out. You want your hi-hats to be bouncing, like, methodically instead of just, like, all over the place, like, a bunch of hats everywhere, super trap, blah, blah, blah. You don't want to do that in these patterns. The simpler, the better for the hi-hat patterns, which is why I did this. And, guys, I'm going to add this little perk hi-hat pattern that sounds like this. This is just like my new favorite thing to do in my beats. Personally, you don't have to do this at all. It's not exclusive to the genre. But basically, you know, as we can see, we're just doing this little like horse trot hi-hat bounce. From that point, we're adding Fruity Delay 3, and then we're using Fruity Love Filter with the LP to HP panning preset again. All that does is really just make this weird ambient background, sort of like perk loop. Just some more layering for the beat because we're doing a lot of layering in this beat. Lastly, for the percussion, guys, is this open hat. I know I'm not really explaining the drums a lot in this beat, but if I'm going to be completely honest, they are not the most complicated drums. So, yeah, I guess that's my excuse. It's not complicated, so all of you have to understand. Lastly, guys, we have the 808 pattern, which is going to sound like this. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I actually really liked the way that the 808s clip and just like hit really hard. But essentially, for the most part, guys, we are following the root notes. As you can see, the first two 808s that are going to hit in each half of the pattern are going to be with the softer 808. And then after that, the third note in the pattern is going to be the super hard and long hitting 808. You don't have to do that, but I thought that would be cool to do. And essentially, it's following the root notes, especially in the beginning. It is literally the root notes, F sharp, A, and then a D. And then, you know, for the second half, we're switching it up. We are starting on the D and starting at the D. We are starting on the D note. We're starting on the D note and working our way back up to where we started in the beginning half of the pattern. So instead of F sharp, A, D, it's D, E, F sharp, and then the pattern loops, and that is the 808 pattern. Altogether, guys, this is what the drums are going to sound like. So yeah, I mean, those are the drums. I'm pretty satisfied with it. I was originally not sure how this video was going to turn out, but I feel like it did turn out pretty well. So yeah, those are all the patterns wrapped up. Now we're going to go over structuring really quickly because it's not very complicated at all. Essentially, 16-bar hook, 16-bar verse, 8-bar bridge. I know it's like boring, stupid, poopy structuring that, you know, everyone uses, but I tend to do this for my tutorial videos because I'm just planning on making a structuring specific video in the near future, so I don't have to worry about this right now. After the bridge, we're going to repeat the hook one time, repeat the verse one time, and then the bridge is going to act as the outro at the very end of the beat. During the hook, the very core sounds are going to play for the first half, and then for the second half, we're going to bring in all the other sounds to just keep the hook moving. The lead, the open hat, and the second layer of chords are all coming in the second half just to, you know, pick the beat up. For the verse, we're taking a bunch of sounds out, primarily just the chords and this one like very silent pluck. For the second half, we're going to bring in another counter lead, but not really the main one. We're just keeping things very chill for the verse. The bridge is just a continuation of the verse with some EQing like this. From that point, like I said, it's just my God, I just need to slow down. I need to slow down while I'm making these videos, but I never do. yeah, from that point on, we are repeating what we just made. And like I said, the bridge is going to act as an outro, where this time we're sort of EQing everything off, automating the EQ and the volume and all that stuff. And yeah, that's the video. This was a tough one. I really struggled to talk like usual, but that's okay. So yeah, if you guys watch this video all the way through to the end, thank you so much. I really do appreciate you guys who watch my videos all the way through. If you guys like this video, leave a like. If you didn't, don't. Remember to hit the subscribe button. I post 2 times a week on Wednesday and Friday, covering underground and up-and-coming artists, challenge videos, entertainment content, and more. And yeah, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a good day or night. Peace.